Welcome, everyone. I'm calling this regular meeting to order. The time is now 6 p.m. Let the record show that we have all 5 board members present. With that, I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member Gutierrez-Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, we'll move into our presentation of the colors, which will be led by JROTC Cadets Barrera, Diaz, Padilla, and Sanchez, who are under the command of Major Robert Four, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Member Barraza and land acknowledgement by Member Gutierrez-Miller. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance
Thank you. Please be seated.
Tempe Union High School District acknowledges that our community of schools is located on the ancestral lands of the Akimel, Otham, Pima, and Peeposh Maricopa indigenous people who have inhabited these lands since time immemorial. With this land acknowledgement, the district formally recognizes that the traditional care and keeping of these lands by indigenous peoples allow us to be here today.
Thank you, Member Barraza and Member Gutierrez-Miller. Next, we'll move to item B1, the report from the superintendent. Dr. Wilson.
Thank you, President Montero, members of the board, and those executive team and those in the audience here. Tonight, we are proud to recognize an exceptional group of students who have earned distinction as National Merit semifinalists. Each year, more than 1.3 million students across the nation enter the National Merit Scholarship Program, and only 16,000, less than 1%, are named semifinalists. This places these students among the highest achieving scholars in the nation. This year, Tempe Union had 25 students across 4 schools who received this distinction, and we are proud to recognize them tonight. I know some students couldn't be with us tonight, but if you are here, please stand when I call your name. From McClintock High School, Devon Keith, Emmanuel Lee, and Timothy Mansfield. From Marcos Deniza, Tristan Gee. From Corona del Sol, Theodora Cheney. Evelyn Ellis, Joseph Gamero, Sophia Garcia, Nicholas Hauer, Henry Hunsaker, Reagan Lara, Camden Lowe, and Shubra Mahumdar. Edison Schroeder, Piper Smith, and Geo Tucker. Congratulations to you all. And now more students to stand. Now we're moving through to Desert Vista. Darius Collins, Cyrus Contractor, Jacob Lee, Joseph Lucan, Abe Main, Raya Nayak, Suhan Shaikh, Myra Straight, and Nicholas Van Vliet. Congratulations to you all. Students, we are incredibly proud of each of you for this outstanding accomplishment. Your hard work and dedication have truly set you apart. Thank you as well to the families, teachers, and staff who have supported these students along the way. And please join me in congratulating once again our National Merit semifinalists. Now, students, we're going to do like the whole annoying thing. We got to take some photos. And then parents, if you'd like to take photos, we're going to have the students, you all come up here and kind of stand around here close to the dais, and then board members, we're going to stand up and take a photo. Parents, feel free to get some photos if you'd like as well. You all come on up here.
Kind of line up here.
Yep. Scoot in. We get it all. Students, congratulations. Thank you for allowing us to get those photos there at the end. And we also, students and families, we don't want to hold you. We know that these are students that are very involved and they've got things going on, so please feel free if you all would like to. You're welcome to stay, but you also are welcome to exit. Board members, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson, and congratulations to everyone. All right, next we'll move to item C1, public comment. This is the time for the public to comment. Members of the governing board may not discuss items that are not on the agenda. Therefore, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. In accordance with policy BEDH, each speaker will be given 3 minutes. Our first speaker is Sharifa Rowe.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Sharifa Rowe, and I'm here today as a parent and advocate for my student, my niece, who deserve dignity, fairness, and to be heard. I want to share a pattern of concerning behavior by the beach volleyball coach at Mountain Point High School that has resulted in feelings being dismissed, unsupported, and ultimately silenced. This began when the coach shared a personal dream about whether the girls liked him and directly questioned them about it. This created an uncomfortable and unprofessional dynamic. When my niece responded honestly that she did not yet know him but expected to learn, her experience on the team shifted in ways that targeted her participation on the team. She was told she would be playing with a partner only to have that decision changed without clear explanation, prioritizing another player's evaluation over her opportunity. When she expressed frustration and later attempted to revisit the conversation, she was dismissed under the guise of respecting her wishes, which avoid meaningful communication. When she requested a private conversation, the coach instead chose to publicly announce the situation on the team bus, exposing a private matter to the entire team. This undermined her sense of trust and emotional safety. She has been told she needs to prove herself, yet has not been given a fair, consistent opportunity to do so. As a parent, I attempted to address this appropriately since March 5th. I have been trying to schedule a meeting with both the coach and the athletic director at Mountain Point. After weeks of outreach, I was informed on March 30th that the coach was refusing to meet with me as a parent or guardian. I find this to be unacceptable. And tonight, instead of celebrating my niece's senior night, a milestone that she has worked 4 years for, I am here speaking with you. My niece lost her mother, my baby sister, at 9 years old. Despite that loss, she has shown resilience, commitment, and perseverance. She has remained dedicated to the team for 4 years, and yet tonight she should have had that moment of recognition and joy of her journey. Instead, she missed that moment, and I am standing here not in celebration, but in advocacy. Everyone is bewildered by an Epstein, Cesar Chavez, or Sean Combs, but this is how it happens. A cross of boundaries, a lack of accountability, targeting and shaming, and ultimately silencing. This is a blatant issue of misogyny, abuse of power with a tinge of anti-Blackness. So today, I'm asking for three things. First, a formal meeting with the school district leadership and the school to address the concerns and apology from the coach. Second, a clear review and establishment of policies that define appropriate interactions between coaches, students, and parents, especially around communication, conflict resolution, and student-parent voice. Third, a formal acknowledgement at the board level of her missed senior night due to coach negligence. Our students deserve to feel seen, respected, and supported, especially in moments that matter most. I am asking you to ensure that no student in this district is silenced when they should be uplifted. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Can you make sure we follow up? Thank you. Our next speaker is Ariana Gouda.
Hello, board members, executive team, students, and community members. I'm a teacher at Tempe High School and proud Tempe Secondary Education Association union member. And I would like to speak to you tonight about a wonderful program I have been fortunate to be a part of called AVID at Tempe High School. AVID is a program that helps underrepresented students make their college dreams come true by giving them support for college. I have the seniors this year. We have walked them through the FAFSA, countless scholarships, and from freshman year on, they learn organization, goal setting, and very important skills, and they become like a family over the 4 years that they're together. I can't speak to the program without acknowledging the program coordinator at Tempe High School, Mr. T. He's a legend on our campus and someone who pours his whole heart and soul into the students and into the program. Under his leadership, he's graduated many classes of students who've gone on to go to college debt-free. This year, 28 amazing students are geared up to enter college in the fall, totally debt-free. It's a very worthwhile program and one that's been on the chopping block in years past by the board to save money, and I think it's something that is special about Tempe High. It's something that brings families from schools like Connolly that are avid site-wide schools, and it is something that really helps students and helps them stay on track and be successful in college. This year, Tempe High School was able to use site funds to continue the program, and it is secure for next year, but it's just something that long-term I hope is included in future budgeting for this district. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Rodrigo Palacios.
Good evening, President Montero, Superintendent Dr. Wilson, members of the board, district leadership, community. My name is Rodrigo Palacios. I'm proud to serve as the president of the Tempe Secondary Education Association. I'm also proud to serve as one of the co-chairs of the Protect Education Act initiative that we launched 2 Saturdays ago. In an effort to bring accountability to the voucher program in the state. As we know, the Universal Voucher Program has cost our state over $1 billion this year with little to no accountability. What the Protect Education Act does is it adds new safety measures to protect kids, like required background checks for all educators, not just public school teachers, not just public school educators and ESPs, but all educators across the state. It reduces waste, fraud, and abuse of taxpayer funds by banning the use of ESA voucher funds for non-educational items like diamond rings, like vacations, like luxury items. It ensures transparency for our taxpayer dollars. With the exception of families of students with disabilities, limits ineligibility to families with an annual income of $150,000 or less to ensure vouchers support families who really need that money. Over 60% of the families who use the voucher program right now are families who reside in some of the most affluent zip codes in our state. It also returns millions of dollars back to public schools and public classrooms. Currently, there's over $400 million sitting in ESA voucher accounts that are just sitting there, where they could be used to repair 70-year-old air conditioning systems, right? It raises the bar for academic quality and student success, and it evens the bar for all students. So I'm here to call on the community to sign the petition. We need to gather 256,000 signatures or so by July 2nd. And I invite you all to sign tonight, and I invite you all to do something to bring attention to this unaccountable program and the abuse, and to put this initiative on the ballot in November.
Thank you. And that concludes public comment. So next we'll move to item D, our consent agenda. I will move approval of consent agenda items D1 through D11. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by member Hodge. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, we move to item E1, the TUHSD Comprehensive School Safety Update, and I'll turn it over to Mr. McDonald.
Good evening. President Montero, Vice President Steele, Governing Board members, Superintendent Wilson, Mr. Rico, executive team members, and audience members here and virtually. Tonight we're going to be addressing Part 1 of the Comprehensive School Safety Plan, specifically student conduct. And just a reminder, in last year's presentation, we discussed the mindset shift from student discipline, if you remember, to student conduct, as not all conduct is disciplinary, but more of a restoration. So tonight we're going to go through the blueprint for restoration, talk a little bit about the data insights that we received from this year's data, and also some policy and regulation updates that Mr. Huffine will join me in when we talk about the committee's work, the Student Conduct Committee, and the recommendations that they have made thus far. As we're laying the groundwork, we haven't spoke to you on this topic since this time last year. And so as we look at the district level architecture, we will continue the annual review of discipline and policies and site administration procedures. So we have the matrix, of course, and then we have what we're going to do internally so we can be consistent across all of our sites. Also, professional development. We've been doing lots of professional development on restoration and restoration practices, as well as we have started the work on helping with our other staff members on de-escalation. And so you'll see a big push to have de-escalation for all of our teachers as well. Weekly and semester level dashboard meetings. We are not only monitoring here, but they're also monitoring at the sites. As we meet with the deans, they're really taking a look at the data dashboard on a weekly basis, along with their administration, and bringing that to their teams. And of course, we had the formation of the Comprehensive School Conduct Committee. Once again, Mr. Huffine will discuss some key items that come out of that committee and the continuation of that committee as we continue to change the matrix. As we move to the site level implementation, I've got to give a lot of credit to them. They're working very hard. Every time we see a freshman orientation, those orientations are enhanced and really are looking at academic and behavioral expectations before they come in. You'll notice that we talk about reestablishment of the MTSS, and that's a multi-tiered systems of support teams. We did lose some of our MTSS. We lost some interventionists. We lost some APs at different schools. And so the site had to get back to say, how are we going to do the work, still do the same work, or even better with who we have? And I got to give a big shout out to the admin sites and the deans and the in-school interventionists. They're doing the work and they're doing well, and you'll see that today. We also have the deployment of the life skills modules, which allow students to be restored and fix the harm. Maybe they caused someone else, but more importantly, fix the harm they probably caused themselves. And then lastly, we have targeted action steps. Part of our school safety grant, we're looking at targeted action steps on a quarterly basis, and then we report those to the state as well, so that you know what we're working on as far as, and we'll show you some of those pieces today when it comes to maybe disproportionality of different items that we need to continue to look at. Oops, there it goes now. This graph will show you kind of the rhythm of what happens. This is the last 3 years as we look at the trends and improvements for student conduct. Please note that we have peaks, of course, in the months of August and February and April. Those happen to happen 4 to 6 weeks after a semester or a quarter starts. Interesting. What we want to be able to look at, though, is how do we flatten those out? So I know Dr. Moon and I are going to do more focus groups. We're meeting with a group at McClintock next week to really go through this and talk about how do we flatten those peaks out? How do we give that support, maybe that's going to be needed during that time, to figure out what's heightened during that time of that quarter or semester that maybe some behaviors occur or increase. We also look at the valleys. Of course, those are October, December, and March. Those happen just after a break happens. So they have their break. They feel good about what's going on. They're coming back, and they're being successful and focused. So we really want to be able to focus on that. The big part about this is seasonal wave. Over the last 3 years, there's been a clear, sustained decrease in overall incidents. And that's going to be a big deal. And I believe the restorative staffing model that we're doing is showing positive impact because we are seeing a reduction in repeat behaviors. And that's really the key. Kids are going to make mistakes. Adults are going to make mistakes. But we have to learn from those mistakes and make sure that we don't have those repeat behaviors. And we're seeing that decrease. I'm very proud of that. As we continue to look at the behavioral journey, we look at these type of infractions. And last year, you might remember I did the top 10. We looked at all of those, are still top 10, but 3 really are marketed on what we need to really focus on in the work. Defiance and disrespect, by all means, at all levels are the highest, and we have to look at that. So what our team has done, and I know the committee has looked at, and we'll talk a little bit more about that with Mr. Huffine, but they've looked at that and looked at what are minor defiances versus some major defiances. And the majority of these that we see are minor defiances. So what are we going to do differently in order to do more restoration health support? Vaping and tobacco, we are seeing that happen. If you look at the Arizona Youth Survey, we're seeing an increase of that happening in middle school. We are seeing our freshmen trying or being maybe utilizing it a little bit, still in the yellow, but you see a vast increase when they get to their junior and their sophomore and junior level. And what we need to do there is, I think, going back, I don't know if you remember Vanishing the Vape, I believe it would be a good idea to start getting that back out and having the students help support us, and maybe a Vanishing the Vape 2.0 or something that will allow peers on peers and kind of share why vaping wouldn't be a good road to go. And we probably should tap in maybe to those seniors, because you see that decreases. So something happens that is not as important as it was during maybe their sophomore or junior year. And then lastly, we looked at disruptions versus disengagement. And then when you look at those disruptions, of course, our freshmen may have a little bit more disruptions. They may not know how to quite act. Frontal lobes are not necessarily working as well as they need to be. However, their sophomore year, the communication and the expectations, you can tell, are definitely kicking in right there. What is worrisome, though, as we go into their junior and senior year, doesn't become disruption anymore. They actually are disengaged. And that's where we're seeing some unexcused absences happening. So they're just not coming to school to disrupt, but we want to be able to see that. Now, you look at these numbers, these are very small numbers when you look at 11,000, but it is something that we want to be able to share and continue to monitor. Defiance is universal, multi-year changes, but we need to continue to look at that. As we look at some of the equity gaps, specifically this one will be program and gender disproportionalities. On the next slide, we'll talk about ethnicity. You'll see here special education. That gap is still about 12.57%, approximately 2 times the amount of our population. You'll notice that our population actually went over 10% this year. This is one of the first times. Usually we ride high 9s. 10%, so that population is growing. The good thing about this, and something that stuck in my mind all year with Mrs. Steele, was what are we doing? How do we know who are the students? So what we have assured now is that every time a student has some kind of conduct, the administration, the dean, the leader on the campuses are ensuring they're finding out, does that student have an IEP? Does that student have a 504? And what are we doing with that? Communications with the SSC or their case manager is going to be important. And then also, does this student have a behavior intervention plan, or do they need a functional behavior assessment, right? How do we help support? Again, the student conduct is one thing, not punitive in nature, but how do we improve any of the conduct that might need to be helpful? We're also seeing another question asked last year was, what level, right? What level, what disability? We're seeing it across the board. So it could be SLD or emotionally disabled or any of the categories and any of the levels of service as well, A through D. And so we are monitoring that because we get involved, the special education department, almost like a pseudo administrator, right, for us to help support, and then making sure that we're doing the right things by that student. As we move to free and reduced lunch, there's a little gap here, 11.8%. That only is equivalent to about 25% increase. However, what we're seeing here and most concerning about our free and reduced population is the population is growing. Of course, where we are in the world today, more people are in need. And this is the part that I want to be able to look at. One, when talking to Dr. Moon, is what's happening for that population to grow. We can probably think we know, but we really need to dig down and do some focus groups with students and with parents to find out what it is it? And then how do we help support with any of the infractions? It could be that it's just hard to pay attention or hard to do things if I'm worried about where I'm going to get my next meal or where am I going to sleep that night. And so we will continue to monitor and watch those students and those families to make sure they're getting what they need. And then lastly, male students, small gap, 50.19% of the population. However, infractions about 60%, about 10%. Lots of thoughts about this one. The ladies in the room will probably laugh at me when I say our frontal lobes are just not glowing like they should at that point. But we need to do a better job in thinking in the classroom what we can do in the classroom to really keep engagement high for our male students. And that's something that we're going to try to work with teaching and learning with in different groups to say, what are the engagement pieces of our students, especially our male students in this case. Just a context note, general education, non-free reduced, female students, all proportionally where they need to be, either proportional to their population or lower. As we move to the racial and ethnic disproportionalities, notice that our African American students, that gap is about 11.58%. The good thing about this, and I think this is a celebration, though we're not where we want to be yet. 4 years ago, we were at 3 times that number. And we went down to about 2.5% the following year, 2.25 the following year, and now we're just 2. And I think that's a celebration. Now, we're not where we need to be yet. We need to continue that. But as far as the other demographic, Hispanic, white, Native American, Asian, multiracial, their infraction rates are either closely aligned to the population or actually below the population. But we know that we will continue to look at these subgroups. We need to continue to close the gaps. We need to continue to look at the disciplinary matrix and we must evolve to make sure that we know the root causes, right? And that's going to be the key. If we don't know the root causes, we can't do the appropriate tiered intervention. And so that's the importance of that. But we are pleased that all of these gaps continue to go down year after year. And when you look at the national numbers, we're much better than the national and state numbers when you look across the district. Before I actually turn it over, we have done, as you know, several surveys to our families, our employees, and to our students. And what we wanted to do after we did that large survey was we wanted to get out with the themes that we found and do focus groups. So we have done focus groups across the board, and what we found out is we have certain pillars of campus culture and climate. Number one is restoration over punishment. There has been that shift. That's a celebration again. Remember, we talked about that mind shift, of shifting to that reflective approach, right, of helping a student understand why, right? We are finding that our adults in the building prefer restorative measures. They want their students in their classrooms. They want the students to be able to grow. Number two, a huge piece is communication. So how do we foster that open student-teacher dialogue? It's going to be very big, giving student voice, right? Having parent communication for both groups, right? Having a positive, whether it be positive or negative behaviors. We have teachers and we have administrators and leaders that are actually reaching out saying, hey, you know what? Your son or daughter is just doing great, right? And that's what we need to do more of and continue to do more of, but that is happening. When we look at wellness, of course, providing emotional regulation for our students, training, lots of areas for safe spaces to decompress, and have that proactive awareness on, we call it prevention. So prevention on what? Prevention on alcohol, drugs, vaping, those things are going to be important. Teacher support, we mentioned a little bit of it. Right now we talked a lot about restoration, but we got to really dig into the de-escalation training for our teachers. And not only that, but empathy building is going to be big. We talked, our district talked a lot about, of course, dignity, but this year we talked a lot about cultural competency. And so everybody has been trained administratively at every campus about that right now. And as we continue to go down, we'll talk about cultural competency in the classroom as well with our teachers. And then lastly, the positive reinforcement. This actually came from our students, and I kind of chuckled a little bit, but they'd be mad at me if I didn't talk. They like rewards. They still like stickers. It comes in like food, right? I know Principal White, had brought food and different things for attendance and positive behaviors. But I think there's something to that, and those little things actually allow students to feel like they're part of the culture and climate as well. So at this point, I'm going to bring up Mr. David Huffine. He chaired the Student Conduct Committee and the recommendations that you'll see in the next 4 slides, and then I'll come back up and do some celebrations and closure.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Good evening. Thank you for having me. President Montero, Vice President Steele, members of the board, Dr. Wilson, members of the executive team, I appreciate you taking the time out to take a listen to what really some amazing work that was done by the Student Conduct Committee that was brought together right around about a year ago that really wanted to take a look at reducing repeated behaviors and then focusing on the discipline conduct matrix that we have within the student handbook and seeing if there's changes that we need to make or take a look at, and including taking a look at our internal workings about how we handle discipline across the board in a standardized way from an administrative standpoint. So Student Conduct Committee focused on the 5 highest infraction areas of defiance, disruption, tobacco and vaping, drugs and alcohol, and aggression with fighting. Our goal is to reduce the out-of-school suspension whenever appropriate while shifting toward an in-school suspension with intervention being the key to allow the students to remain connected to the school. We wanted to continue to pair the consequences with the skill building tools that we have had success with the life skill modules that we have been using for the last few years, as well as a chance for the students to reflect on their behavior and make that behavioral change with the support of that interventionist. The committee also recommended a new incentive to reduce consequences for students who demonstrate sustained positive behavior. So by looking at the first two, the defiance and disruption, they were our two top infractions, and our current discipline matrix did not differentiate between varying degrees or types. And the Student Conduct Committee really felt it was important to break down and really define what defiance and disruption was, because not all behavior is the same, but when you look at our discipline matrix, we treated it as the same. And so we looked at minor behavior as being something that had low intensity, that does not significantly disrupt learning and does not create a safety concern. Whereas a major disruption or behavior is going to be ongoing, it's going to be a little bit more intense, and it disrupts the learning environment and does pose a possible safety risk, either to the student or to the others within the classroom. For minor behaviors, the recommendation is for early intervention with parent-guardian involvement with support from a wide variety of areas before a temporary loss of extracurricular privileges, for example, and possible classroom removal. We want to give the students an off-ramp, an opportunity to have a chance to reflect on what their behavior was, especially when it is of a minor situation. This is going to allow for the opportunities for de-escalation before moving to in-school suspension and then possibly an out-of-school suspension, which at this point in time we have not been addressing much like we should. And so we're going to try and match the response to the behavior and intervene earlier by providing those off-ramps for success. So looking at some specifics with substance abuse, our current practice when it comes to tobacco and vaping is really when you have a first offense, it's a 2-day off-campus suspension. When you have a second offense, it's a 4-day. When you have a third offense, it's a 6-day off-campus suspension. And when you think about it, that doesn't make a lot of sense when you're trying to change the behavior of the student, when you're trying to affect them in a positive way, both physically, mentally, social, emotionally. And so they took a really good look at that, and it was really kind of a common sense approach that they took, in which, one day is going to, or the first offense is going to be a 1-day in school suspension. Second offense would be 2 days, but that's with your ISI interventionist that's going to be there to help focus in on the issues that the student may be having, along with working with the community, along with working with the parent or guardian, and trying to find, with counseling, the support that they need before we get to the point where we're now putting the student off campus. With drugs and alcohol, we kind of looked at it the same type of way, in which right now our current model is we would suspend the student for 5 days with the possibility of utilizing life skill modules off campus. The second offense would be a 10-day off campus, and then the third offense would be a long-term recommendation. We have had a lot of success in what we have done internally with changing how we handle aggression and fighting, with allowing the students to be off campus for 2 days and 3 days of ISI. And the committee felt it was very, very important to take a look at that model and do much of the same in terms of having a 2-day off-campus, 3-day in-school, along with the modules, and then along with the parent meeting, having those counseling supports really, we felt like that would be a huge benefit for that student and their care going forward, because we could be looking at something that's a lot more serious than just simply a one-time offense. Second offense, counseling supports, 5 days off campus, 3 days ISI. Third offense is similar to what we have right now, which would be a long-term suspension. The committee wanted to introduce something that we have been talking about for a number of years now, in which, students, as Mr. McDonald mentioned, the behavior goes down as the student, proceeds through their career in high school. And we wanted to be able to give them an incentive for sustained positive behavior with a 2-year period of time in which there were no incidents within that specific behavior, to reduce that number of offenses by 1 when it comes to dealing with those consequences. Because you do see a number of students, mess up when they're a freshman or a sophomore. It could be their frontal lobe that has a little bit of a problem, when they're maturing at that age. And then the maturity of when they're a junior or senior, it is something that, we want to take into account. And the committee felt like it was very, very important that students do make mistakes, and for a student to then have another situation that would cause them to have to deal with the consequences. We didn't want it to be a severe situation in which they possibly could be long-term suspended when they have had such a 2-year or 3-year period of growth. Kids make mistakes, and we're here to educate, and punishment is not necessarily coinciding with our education. Next is dealing with aggression and fighting. The committee felt like, how we have handled it internally, and this is very similar to what we're doing currently, is that we would not want to change anything, possibly do a little bit more or a better job of maybe a behavioral contract, or possibly more intervention possibilities with targeted behavior intervention. But the third offense would be a long-term suspension through the end of the semester. But once again, the committee felt that the focus on the right behaviors was more important, and to allow for a clean record incentive if there's a period of time over 2 years without any incident of aggression, the student's number of offenses would be reduced by 1 to honor their behavioral growth. The committee wanted to focus on the right behaviors, and it's a shift from removal to intervention where appropriate, along with adding incentives for sustained behavioral change, and that was our major focus. The committee believes that this is going to be more effective, and it's going to be more consistent and also more impactful. So with that, I will turn it over back to Mr. McDonald. Really cool slides. These are really neat. He's really proud of them, too.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Huffine. So, there are some celebrations that we need to be able to do for the year 25. We're definitely seeing reduced punitive impacts. So our out-of-school suspensions significantly. Those percentages have decreased and are lower throughout the district. Systems in action, our MTSS teams, even with the reduction in force, have successful collaboration, supporting students and their conduct at all levels. We've had an expanded restoration practices, continue professional development, and we'll continue to improve with that professional development and de-escalation. We have a proactive culture. As we talked about last year, we, in our surveys and focus groups, talked about anti-bullying, anti-vandalism. And we actually have kicked those off. Those campaigns are going on and talking to several students. In fact, each site is actually taking apart and teaching the peers about anti-vandalism and anti-bullying. And if you look at the construction projects that we have done, after 1 year, they look just as good as they did. So you go to the new bathrooms over at Corona and Tempe, Mountain Point, this summer, Marcos, you will see that these bathrooms look just as good as they did. So they are walking the walk. And so kudos to the students and to the staff for helping with that. And then, of course, data-driven alignment. Campuses, all campuses, they'll be taking the Arizona Youth Survey this month, in fact. And then we're going to utilize that and really dump that data to say, how is it per site and through district, and what are we going to look at to continue the focus groups that we're going to be doing. So the next steps, what is the work we have forward? We basically have 3 milestones we want to look at. As you know, we want to continue to target subgroups and looking at monitoring those subgroups that we have concern with still, right? We want to continue to reduce those numbers and get them to the population as equal as we can. Second milestone is we're going to deepen the restorative practices. That is going to be that in-class restoration, empowering the student communication with the staff members, the de-escalation strategies to those staff members, and the ongoing focus groups that we'll continue to do throughout all of our teams. And the last one will be the milestone number 3 of the matrix evolution. And the committee is not done with their work. Of course, you'll be seeing in updated either policy, change in the matrix. I believe it's actually a regulation, but you'll see that as well with some of the things that you saw tonight. They will actually meet again here shortly, and then we'll continue to work on the matrix and different things that we'll see that we want to conquer next. And so, of course, we know accountability without support is just punishment, and we know our students are important. So this blueprint ensures that every student will have both, not only accountability, because that's important, but the support that they need every day. So with that, I'll open it up with questions.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald and Mr. Huffine for the presentation. We appreciate
Join
it.
me, Mr. Hoffman.
Board members, questions or comments? Member Gutierrez-Miller.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald and Mr. Huffine for this presentation. This is an area that has been really close to my, I guess, heart and has been an area of focus for me as a governing board member. And I want to thank you, Mr. McDonald, for the many conversations that you've entertained with me on this topic. I have a couple of questions regarding the chart that we have on page 1, 2, 3, page 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, page 4. I know I mentioned, I think I mentioned this to you, Sean, but I'd love to see the heat map matrix, the defiance, disrespect, vaping, tobacco, and disruption versus engagement, broken down into those same categories, just so we can get an idea of where each of the subgroups fall in those areas. I'm certain that you already have that, but I'd just be interested to see that. And then, because I'm sure that there are probably trends that could be identified there.
We do have that, and we just focused on the highest 3, but we'll definitely get those to you.
Awesome. And just to be clear, I mean, for the subgroups on the next pages, I just would like to see where they fall in these. I'm okay with the highest 3. That's fine with me.
Oh, in the grade level, you mean?
Yeah, the grade level heat matrix.
Got it.
Thank you. And then I appreciate the defiance and disrespect, the conversation that the committee has been having, because I know when I joined, one of my questions was, what does that look like? And I know that the governing board, one of our responsibilities is to oversee and to set the kind of the tone as far as like the number of days of suspension and things like that. So we had some discussions about what does defiance look like, what does disrespect look like, and I just want to level set this conversation in a reminder that I think most of the governing board read a book where we learned that student behaviors don't change until adult inputs change. And so I just want to remind us all that as adults, it is our responsibility to approach interactions with students whose frontal lobes are developing and who are approaching education from many different viewpoints and vantage points. That is our responsibility to engage with them accordingly. And so I really appreciate this conversation being grounded in a reminder and in a level setting of just kind of respect and on all sides. So
yeah, and that's where the conversation with the committee went. Not only do we need to decipher what is the difference between the levels, but we have to make sure that we're giving professional development to our staff so they can have that conversation and think differently.
Yes, thank you. And then just one more question, just for my understanding. At the different levels of the matrix, or the step, the staircase, if you will, there are different conferences that are outlined here. Can you just confirm, are those conferences with administration, site administration, or who is leading that conversation?
Yeah, it would be the administration, or the administrators would be the ones that would be facilitating that, but depending on what type of behavior it is, they could be going in a different direction. It could be going to a psychologist. It could be going to the interventionist within the ISI room. It could be going to a counselor, the youth specialist. It could be go to a wide variety of supports that we do have available.
Okay.
It just would depend on what type of behavior we're looking at.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about by, kind of defining the different types and knowing that it doesn't all fall into one category.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Those are my questions. Thank you so much for your presentation and for digging deep in on this work.
Thank you, and thank you for your time last week.
Thank you, Member Gutierrez-Miller. Member Braza.
I really appreciate this conversation, this presentation, and all the work. This is why I ran for a school board 8 years ago. I was the student that was suspended every year. I was the teen parent. I went to prison. I got my rights restored, and I came back specifically for this stuff, because the school to prison pipeline is very real and in various ways. Not having a second direction and not knowing what to do, and not having some, I guess, your community, being alone when you get, when you move on to the next step. It's tough. And so as someone that was always involved in the disciplinary process, it was very refreshing. And I'm emotional about the work you're doing, because this is exactly the stuff that when I talk to people, I echo it consistently. I'm like, why can't we look at this? Why can't we? And so I'm thankful at Tempe Union, we're looking at, the approaches towards our disciplinary, or well, all of it, safety, because it encompasses safety, as well. One of the things that 6 years ago, I know we did the vape campaign, which I appreciate. The one thing that 6 years, that always was a splinter in my thumb that I just never liked, was the suspension. I always advocated against it. As a board member on the presentations, I always said, I hate it. I think it's ineffective. You don't change the behavior of substance abuse or habits by taking away classroom time. It doesn't make sense. You compound it. So I really appreciate what you guys are looking at in terms of the in-school interventions, not suspensions, intervention. That's a mindset. That's a word that is going to create a lens for the people that have to interact in that environment. So it's more than a suspension, it's intervention. I really appreciate that, and looking at the intervention aspect, because I have asked people in the past, how many days should we suspend a student for vaping that'll make them stop? Because if it's 20 days, let's give them 20-day suspension, if it'll stop the behavior, but it won't. So I didn't see an amount, so I love the intervention for it. So thank you for that. I was a student that was fighting all the time. I didn't like bullies. Growing up, junior high, elementary, I was fighting bullies. It was a whole thing. I've seen people get picked on. I've seen what it does, and it just hit me the wrong way as a little kid. And so I'd fight no matter what, didn't care. But the problem was there was no intervention. There wasn't anytime I tried to convey why I was fighting someone, it was like, mandatory punishments, automatic suspension, we don't care. You're suspended. That's it. So I would try and tell there's someone being picked on in our schools, and it was always just, nope, suspended, come back, I get suspended again. I had more time on my hands eventually. I had an ankle monitor, court probation, all sorts of stuff going on in my life. That school just was not really the thing doing it for me, helping me. So this shows students' worth, the growth, missteps, and it doesn't hurt impunitively the students' worth and the way that they approach problem solving. This this is really how we got to model it throughout the state, throughout, the country, ultimately, of disciplinary. And then the fact that you guys, the communication aspect is great, because the parents, they don't know what they don't know, and their students are going to tell them what they think is their just decision, that the teacher just hates me, that, or that this student is the problem. Well, it'd be good to hear from the administrator, say what is going on, but that's going to be a challenge I know you guys are going to have, because I know there's plenty of parents, including within my family, nephews and nieces. I get hear from teachers saying, hey, can you have their parents call me? They're constantly late to class or something. So there's going to have to be that kind of, how do we approach, parents? So I really don't have any, I didn't have questions. I saw a presentation. I went thoroughly through it. I was hoping I would have a lot of questions that would bring, not to the meeting, but prior. But I was just more excited to see what the presentation was and how, how we can move forward. So I will be meeting with you guys, just because I'd love to know more. The only thing that I guess I would say, for me, the modified consequences for students that have, quote unquote, no disciplinaries, clean records, sort of, that can be for me a little bit of a tough spot, only because I look at it as any disciplinary action. It wasn't just me, it was me and my friends. So if we got disproportionate disciplinary actions or if I see a student that did something I did, but they didn't get suspended because they're a good student, it would rub me the wrong way as a kid that got suspended. So I don't know how I feel about that. I think that maybe there's an opportunity for those with that can expunge their records in that respect, but I just don't know how that's going to, because I always worry about unconscious bias and how that's going to look in terms of how the disciplinary actions get uniformed. So that's the only thing I had ultimately, but I really appreciate it. And the only question I really have is, when can we start implementing a lot of this stuff? And what is the next step?
We already are actually implementing a lot of it. We have next steps coming up here. The changes that the committee will make will be for the 26-27 school year.
Okay. And the last thing, or I apologize, go ahead.
The reason for the conversation about added support, right? We have been looking at career discipline for a very, very long time here. And we feel that's not right either. And so the committee really looked at, so what is enough? And the idea is about growth, right? So if they showed growth, then we could reduce, one of their levels, if you wish, and then start them so we're not just blowing them out every time. Part of it's about growth. Part of the reason we're really looking and digging into why the behavior occurred, the antecedent to the behavior. That's going to be key, right? We have to understand what's going on in the child's life or the student's life to fully understand their behavior. And you only do that with the restoration and the communication and really getting the parent involved and really making a true relationship with the student. And I used to say it's important to have one trusted adult, and it is, but our students can sure use more.
I appreciate that, and thank you. I'll be in touch.
Thank you, Member Barraza. Vice President Steele.
Thank you for this wonderful presentation. I am very excited about where the district is headed and just the steps that we are taking to make sure that every student has this restorative action. My question, I'm going to start with a question. The life skills modules, are they developmentally appropriate? If we have students of all levels that are being disciplined, are they all having access to a developmentally appropriate module for them?
Yeah, there's multiple, and there are different types of modules that are, whether it could be critical thinking, where it could be targeted to drugs and alcohol, decision making. Really, it's trying to focus in on what was the behavior, and from that, we can then direct it towards the specific module that could be used and as an interactive approach with that either trusted adult on campus, whether it's the interventionist or the youth specialist, or with the parent or guardian, because that usually is the best way of going about it, is when you can involve the parent or guardian with the intervention, you see the best results in that regard.
Beautiful. So behavior is communication, so I appreciate that you brought that up and that you're looking into the antecedents. We talked a lot about frontal lobes developing, and frontal lobes don't develop until about the age of 25, and that is an average brain, not a developmentally delayed brain, which if you look at everyone that's coming our way between the global trauma and the amount of neurodivergence we're facing, most of our brains are actually fully developing closer to the age of 30. And so I definitely want us to keep that in mind. And with that being said, I don't know how, I've not really shared a whole lot of my story, but at the age of 38 years old, I was diagnosed with autism and ADHD. I was a Tempe High student that had a major chronic absenteeism problem and was basically told, you have no more classes left to come to. So I did not make it through Tempe High. I don't know how much I've actually shared about that. However, my diagnosis wasn't known. So when I talk about special education, I do want to just make sure that we're recognizing that there are a lot of adults being diagnosed, and there are over 99 different neurodevelopmental disabilities. And so are we including Child Find into our non-IEP, non-504 students when we're dealing with discipline?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Child Find actually gets sent out to any new student that comes to our district, and we go through that to make sure getting reports from all of their teachers, understanding their development and how they've been doing. So we follow that to the T, actually.
Okay. Professional development, making sure our teachers understand kind of what I'm talking about and understand the wide range of developmental disabilities, because I don't think we're really recognizing. And then when we're talking trauma, what's coming our way when you look at our students, I just want to make sure all of our teachers are truly prepared, because I've been around a lot of people that say, you don't look like you have autism. But I do. So I just want to make sure that that's noted.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, thank you. I am very, very excited for where the district is going, and I know that your guys' hearts are in the right place. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Steele. Member Hodge.
Thank you for the presentation. This is, I think, my 10th one I've sat through since I've been on the board. And I just have, I can say from 10 years how much has changed from the beginning to where we're at right now. I mean, a lot of you guys can't understand that, but I can tell you it has really developed going in the right direction. I only have like one question. My question is, I know we have special needs, free and reduced, our male students and our African American. When we have like, when you talk about like a peer or someone to talk to them, studies been shown that people relate to people who kind of fit in that image. Are we looking for people, like when you're talking to an African American student, are you looking for someone that could be African American to maybe reach out to them other than just their family? Because sometimes you need to speak to somebody that is not your mom or dad to help you with that. Or actually when you talk about male students, the boys to men, are we bringing in these organizations to help out with these conversations? Because as students, they relate to their parents, because it's almost like, I don't want to get in trouble by my parent. But when it comes down to just having that peer conversation of why it's happening, maybe we need, I think we just need to draw more into finding someone that fits into one of their needs, like his special needs, or if it's a male student or African American, because African American's been high since the day I've been on this board and long before. So I'm just wondering, are we getting into the nitty and gritty of getting them closer to someone who they can relate to?
Yeah, I could actually honestly say that we're improving on that every year, whether it's who we're hiring, who we're getting to be mentors, different partners, CARE 7 and who they're hiring, really looking for diverse cultures, whether it be from our LGBT community to any of our ethnicities. So really feel that the MTSS teams on our campuses are very diverse in that nature, and we'll continue to monitor that.
I think I want to appreciate that factor in there, because it's a very important factor, that when kids look in the eyes of someone that they see, they can see something in them that they feel that they relate to. And I am just happy that Tempe Union is going in that direction to make sure that they can, they're seeing someone they can actually, conversate with. Because, yeah, I know I have sons, and I know my sons, but they're not going to tell me the why. They're going to tell me what they can fix. They're going to tell me why they're going to make sure that they change the image, but I'm not going to get to the root cause of it. And I just want to make sure that we understand that if we don't get to the root cause, we'll be back again. Thank you.
Member Hodge, I appreciate you bringing that up, and I just wanted to say that having Dr. Moon on the Student Conduct Committee was invaluable, as he brought up that same topic, and he would constantly be telling us when we were talking about different types of things, hey, keep this in mind, and it was very much along with what you were saying.
Share with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Hodge. Member Gutierrez-Miller.
I just have one more clarifying question. With regards to out-of-school suspension, can you confirm how that counts in terms, like, towards truancy? Is that an unexcused absence? What does that look like?
No, it's not an unexcused absence.
Okay.
It's technically an excused absence, but it is off-campus suspension.
Okay.
But it's not truancy.
Off-campus suspension. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Member Hodge.
One more question. So are they responsible? They get all their homework, they get everything in? I want the community to understand that, so they're not falling behind.
Part of why we're going towards ISI is that we're able to help them with their classes right there, right? But the out-of-school suspension, we're always getting their material. A lot of things are happening that are online or virtual to be able to help support hybrid learning as well. And then teachers are available for support as well.
See, that's exactly what I wanted for our community to hear, because back in the past, when you were suspended, you were just suspended. You were cut off on the schools. But now people don't understand that you're not completely cut off on the schools. You still can receive help with your homework, or if you have questions or something, you can still relate to your teachers. And I just wanted that to be out so people can hear that the difference of what used to be compared to what's now.
As we move towards technology and digital learning and being able to tap into different resources, it makes it easier.
Thank you, Member Hodge. Any other questions? All right. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Next, we'll move to teaching and learning, item F1, the Cognia exit review, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Alexic.
Well, good evening, President Montero, Vice President Steele, members of the board, Superintendent Wilson, executive team and guests. Thank you for having me here today to share with you some of the exit notes from our Cognia review. I am using the slides that were provided to us by the review team, so I didn't alter any. That's why you see their names. So you can see our lead reviewer and then the associate lead evaluator that provided these exit notes. So if you recall, a couple of board meetings ago, Cheryl and I stood here and presented to you the systems accreditation process. We shared that this was the first time we were going through a systems review. So in the past, we would go through a Cognia review each school individually. So this was the first time that we kind of entered into this higher level of review that evaluates not only each school, but us as a system, and looks at our processes across all schools. So just a quick reminder that accreditation is, Cognia is really an international protocol that looks and evaluates schools worldwide. And so when they come into a school, they're really looking at systems that are put in place to evaluate student learning, to promote student growth, to enhance leadership in learning and the culture of learning. And so an accreditation from Cognia allows the transcripts that we give to our students to be accepted worldwide. So not just across states in the United States, but it's a global accreditation process. So the role of the engagement team is we worked with them. This is about a 2-year process to get to this point of an exit interview with them. So we have provided a lot of different data points to them. So we had a lot of self-evaluation that happened at each individual school improvement team. We had different stakeholders group that provided information. We submitted a portfolio of all our standardized tests, our walkthrough forms, our surveys, and then created narratives in terms of where we thought our strengths were and where we thought our areas for improvement and growth were. So they reviewed that entire portfolio. Then we did a leadership presentation. So the executive team shared about a 45-minute presentation about where we saw ourselves and then where do we see ourselves moving in the next 5 to 10 years. And then they did a set of interviews. I know that President Montero and Dr. Wilson were in an interview with the Cognia team, and then our principals sat through an interview with the Cognia review as well. And so after gathering all of that information, then they provided us with these exit notes. So overall, their findings were extremely positive. So they highlighted some of the things that kind of stood out to them as extremely positive findings. They indicated that we have a well-aligned strategic plan and that our mission and vision and values really support that strategic plan and support district-wide focus on student outcomes. They, after reviewing a number of our longitudinal survey data, indicated that we do have a shared culture of collaboration that's based on respect, trust, and transparency across different stakeholder groups. So that would include the community, staff, and student surveys. They did highlight that we communicated with purpose about the challenges and steps that we needed to address long-term. They indicated that they felt we were very hard on ourselves in our self-evaluations and that we, while we do still have room for growth, that we kind of were pretty critical of ourselves. They really emphasized the growth that we've shown in both our growth and proficiency on standardized tests and the fact that we are an A district and that our schools are A letter grade schools. And then they emphasized this commitment to a growth mindset and really focus on student performance. So with that growth mindset in mind, they listed also some things for us to consider. A number of these were things that we have identified through our self-evaluation across the district as areas that we felt we needed to grow in. And so on a number of them, they agreed with us and thought that the data supported those areas for growth. So we did talk a lot about the advisory period and a need to have more consistency across how that time is used to have more consistent curriculum. So that's an area that we will look into. They also agreed with us in our evaluation that the PLC practices and kind of resetting the PLC expectations and implementing PLCs at a more consistent fashion across all schools is an area to grow in. We have already started that work. We are working with West Ed this year and have plans for next year to really focus on those PLC practices and to establish some norms and procedures for how that work is done. They thought that we should continue to develop and revise our instructional models to ensure that we have higher levels of student engagement. They also agreed with us that the inquiry process and providing professional development and implementing those in our scope and sequences is a good approach and for us to continue doing that work as well. They really liked our cadre structure and the fact that we bring our teachers in to work on scope and sequences and the common assessments, final exams that we have. I think we have over 68 common final exams across all our content areas. They praised us on the feedback loop that we have where we revise our scope and sequences and revise our assessment based on how they perform. So they suggested that we use that type of evaluation system across different programs, not just within curriculum. So what happens next? We will get a final draft report from them in the next 45 to 60 business days. This final report will also include an index of educational quality. It's a score from 100 to 400 that evaluates the strength of the system as a whole. They'll provide some narratives about the 4 key characteristics and what they see as areas of strength and then areas for improvement. And then we will at that time also receive the final approval that comes from the Global Commission of Accreditation. So the expectations for us then are that once we do get this report and review the narratives and look at the data that they provide, that we share this with that information with all our stakeholders, that we devise a plan to address any areas of improvement, and then celebrate any noteworthy practices. So I didn't know I couldn't pronounce that word. Celebrate any practices that are highly effective within our system. And then we meet with them every year to show them that we're making gains on our areas of improvement. After 3 years, we have to show some measurable gain. And then the accreditation is good for 5 years, and then we begin the whole process again in 5 years. And then, of course, areas to continue everything that we are currently doing. They encouraged us to continue collecting data the way that we do and keeping the same practices that we have, just building on them. And then they gave us their contact information. So any questions on that?
Thank you, Dr. Alexic, for that presentation. Before we get into questions, I just want to first thank you and thank everyone. I know this was not an easy lift, and you all sharing your progress throughout this process, really showing kind of the heavy lift that this was, and sitting through the interview with the team, with Dr. Wilson, to be able to share some of the things from the board perspective that we've seen. It's interesting to kind of think about it, because up here we don't really think about all the work that's gone into this, for the many years that we've been on, for various years that we've been on this board. But to think through that and to be able to share that, I think was a proud moment for me to really show the progress that we have gone, not just as a board, but as a district, and really being aligned in where we're moving. And I think that based on their feedback, I think they recognize that. So I am excited to see what's in the final report. But in the meantime, just wanted to say, I think on behalf of all of us, thank you so much for all of the hard work that went into this. And with that, are there any questions or comments? Okay. Oh, yes, Dr. Wilson.
Thank you, President Montero. Members of the board, I just have to say, I've been in this district 29 years. And I've been through several accreditation cycles where we've sat with teams, and in those it had been a school site accreditation, and some of those were good, and some of those we had some challenges in some cases. To move in this first phase of going to a system approach, I just can't tell you how complimentary. I think we have a growth mindset and we're looking to always improve, but I don't know that we take the time to kind of acknowledge the things that we do really well. It's nice to have folks who come in and they do this across the nation, come in and say, this is outstanding. One of the folks actually said this is the first actual system. And they're looking at all our data. We've been sending all these things, so they're looking at it. They've been interviewing, even when they were here, I think, a year ago, to approve us to say you're ready to move forward. They interviewed parents, they interviewed students, they interviewed teachers. And so this was outstanding. And I can't say enough. And I do want to give a shout out. Dr. Alexic has been great in engaging us, but to Cheryl Januzzi, who really led this effort for the district and really just kept us informed and let us know the things that we needed to do and just kept communicating with us and prepared us along with Dr. Alexic. But this was just outstanding, and I think we all were like, wow, okay, we're awesome for 5 minutes, and then you get back into the work. But I just want to say that this was an outstanding report and one I hadn't ever been a part of like this. So thank you again, Dr. Alexic, for everything that you did and the meetings with Dr. Jeffers and everything. And I will be sure to tell Ms. Januzzi again, thank you so much for all that she did.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Thank you so much. All right, next we'll move to business services. Board members, are we good if we take these in one motion?
Yes.
Okay. Then I will move approval of items G1 through G6. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member Hodge. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, we move to new business, item H1, graduation assignments. So board members, we do this every year. we will just state where we want to go for graduation this year on May 28th, and I will wait for lights. Member Hodge.
I would like to go to Marcos Denisa because my next door neighbor is graduating and I changed her diapers and now she's graduating, so I'm excited to see that.
Member Braza.
I'll also be going to Marcos Denisa to watch my nephew graduate and hand him his diploma. So.
Member Gutierrez Miller.
I would like to go to Desert Vista this year.
Vice President Steele.
I'm also going to choose Desert Vista. I have a client that I've had since he was 7 years old, and he's going to walk at Desert Vista this year, and I am very, very excited to hand him his diploma.
Awesome. And I will go to Corona. That is the last school that I have not yet been to a graduation for. So, all right. So just to confirm, Mary, we have Member Hodge at Marcos, Member Barraza at Marcos, Member Gutierrez Miller at Desert Vista, Vice President Steele at Desert Vista, and myself at Corona. Correct? Okay. All right. Well, then, with that, do we need to approve? No? Okay. It says it on here, but okay. We'll move on. Next, we'll go to my item H2, the 2027 Governing Board meeting dates. Is there a motion to approve item H2?
So move.
Motion of Member Hodge. Is there a second?
I second.
Second of Member Barraza. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, we move to item H3, the Tempe Union Online. Just for some context, on May 21st, 2025, the board approved the transition of the Tempe Union Online from a school to a program. As a result, the Arizona Department of Education requires a formal vote of the board to officially close Tempe Union Online as a school entity. This action is procedural and does not impact any services. Tempe Union Online continues to operate and support all 6 high schools as a program rather than a standalone school. So with that, I move to approve the closure of Tempe Union Online as a school in order to comply with Arizona Department of Education requirements. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member Hodge. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, we move to information items. Item I1, request for future agenda items. Board members, are there any requests? Okay, hearing none, then we'll go to governing board committee or conference updates. Do we have any updates? All right, moving along to communications, item J1 from governing board members, and I will wait for lights. Member Barraza.
I just want to say I hope everyone's doing well after their spring break portion, but we got the rest of the year to finish off, and it looks like we have some really good stuff to celebrate. Really great work with Cognia. Really appreciate the disciplinary and the safety presentation and the way we're moving forward as a district. I'm very, very proud. I'm very thankful for this meeting. I'm very happy. With that, I also just attended 1 in 10, their fresh brunch. 1 in 10 is an organization for the LGBTQ plus community, and they do incredible work. They create safe spaces for everyone, but they really, really create safe spaces in places that need to be available. Kingman, Arizona, they have a location, not just here in Phoenix or in Mesa, but in areas where it's not exactly a welcoming tone. So I really appreciate what they did, what they do, and they raised $1.3 million in like an hour and a half with their auction. It was the most unbelievable thing I've seen. But great organization, and I encourage everyone to look into them because they are doing the change-making work there. Also, I attended the Ignite the Night, Tempe Diablos event, and Tempe Diablos does a great work for supporting our community. And I was there and with board member Hodge, also city council member Hodge, and she can cut a rug. She can, yeah, it was an 80s night too. So I was out there too. I think we were all, it was really good vibes. Really appreciate the Tempe Diablos and what they do for our community. As a kid, I grew up and they sponsored stuff like gear for Little League. So that way students made sure, or children in the community made sure they had what they needed. But not just athletics and just mentoring, and I can't say enough about them. So with that, I just want to say it's great seeing you all, and I feel like this was a great night. That's all.
Thank you, Member Barraza. Member Hodge.
Thank you. Yes, we did have fun at the night tonight. You should have saw his 80s outfit. He really had a whole sweatsuit on like he was one of the Beastie Boys. So yeah, so it was a great night. I also attended Geeks Night Out, which was a phenomenal thing because it's all of our schools doing something different, plus our middle schools and just the community, the universities, everybody get together, and it is so fun to do the kind of things that they just enjoy, the robotics, everything that they do through Geeks Night Out. It was so fun, and I enjoyed that, and I also went to the Tempe Care Fair, which our district was there enrolling students. I got to actually see one of our some of our families got enrolled into I think it was McClintock when I was there that they were getting enrolled into. So it was a great thing, a great time. People got a chance to learn about healthcare, but they also got a chance to learn about our schools and get in our schools. So that was a great thing. And I just also want to wish everybody a happy and safe Easter, because that's coming up very soon, and everybody enjoy their time, no matter if they celebrate it for religious or just the fact that it's a bunny hopping around with some Easter eggs. I just want everybody to be happy and celebrate. So, thank you.
Thank you, Member Hodge. Vice President Steele.
Thanks, President Montero. I'm going to go back. So I told you guys last time that I was going to go with Project Oasis to the Helios Decision Center. And wow, what an experience that was. And so I do want to thank Dr. Wilson for inviting the other board members. I hope that I hope some of you guys do really take up on that offer, because what they're mapping out and showing, I think, can really help guide even like where we are with our board goals. Something that I did appreciate when I spoke before I left was we can't all go in as a board and sit obviously at the decision center, but they can arrange a conversation where we could all be in our executive room with them. So it doesn't replace seeing it in person, so I highly still recommend taking Dr. Wilson up on that offer if you guys can. Something I really took from that is, and it's something I feel like we're missing, is we're not focusing on where they're going after they leave at a board level and where they are before they come. We kind of just focus on when they're here. And so I really appreciated the conversations on what they're doing, what our students are doing 1 year after they graduate, but what are they doing 5 years after they graduate? What are they doing 10 years after they graduate? So I do hope we can have more conversations and potentially even bring up the idea, because I appreciate that we're a Vista campus and Kyrene is a Vista campus. And so if we could re-bring up the conversations around goals with them. It was just a really good conversation. It was a really good field trip, and I hope all of you guys have the opportunity to see it. And then I also have talked about that I'm part of the Save Our Schools School Board Alliance, and I attended the March one, and she unfortunately didn't send us the information till yesterday afternoon. So Board Member Gutierrez, I would love to have a conversation with you. Shelley Jackson came and gave a presentation on just making sure that all of our schools, and I know that we really, really honed in on our students with immigration needs, but they've built a model practice that they're going around, and it's from Instituto, ACLU, All in Education, and Alianto. I now have the thing, so I'd like to share it and make sure that the board has it, has access to this information, because again, if there's anything we can do to continue to improve on what other people are doing, I want to make sure we're doing that. And then I'm going to end with the fact that last night I got to do my 3rd steel band drum concert.
Congratulations.
I really, really enjoy it. If you ever have an opportunity to try something, just go for it, right? So I enjoyed the steel drum band performance last night. The adults did great. The students did great. We have some incredibly, incredibly talented students. So it was really cool to see the youth band, all of our different performers, and then we had something happen, and I'm going to kind of share, because in moments of like crisis or just like trauma, sometimes we don't know really what to do, especially if you've never been through that situation. And last night we had a moment during that concert, and Scott Warner, who had not ever been through that, he just stepped up and just took control and showed leadership and compassion and made sure that the student was attended to, the family was able to be with them, and the concert was placed on hold, but in a way that just really showed that he was prepared in an emergency. So I just really wanted to really share that he stepped up and showed his leadership and remained in control in a moment where sometimes you're not really sure what to do. So I'm really proud of him for that, and I hope you all have a happy Easter. And that is the end of my thing, minus my donations. So from the Corona del Sol band boosters to Corona del Sol, $6,354.70. From the Thunderbird Foundation to Desert Vista High School, $1,500. And from Steve Wambacher to Corona del Sol, $1,190. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Vice President Steele. Member Gutierrez-Miller.
Thank you. I want to start out with an update on an event that President Montero and I attended. It was a launch for Teaching for Our Future. And this is an update, a positive update, and a thank you. Chris Rooney, who is an econ teacher at Tempe High and also is the board chair of Teaching for Our Future, provided us with an update that through philanthropic efforts, they were able to donate $2,900 towards hallway materials for K-culture building and humanities programs at Tempe High. I just want to really thank Chris Rooney and Lacey Chavez and the entire board, as well as just the community for rallying around a need. I hate that we have to fundraise to pay for things in public education, but I also want to acknowledge the efforts and the time that it takes, and just the creative genius that Chris Rooney has to approaching things. I think he just really has a very analytical mind, and I really appreciate that about him, but I'm thankful that we were able to, or not we, that Teaching for Our Future was able to fundraise to fulfill this need so that K-culture building and humanities programs can have some additional funds to work with. I also want to wish everyone a happy return from spring break. I hope that all of our students and families had a restful spring break, and I want to acknowledge our educators that have, again, sacrificed some of their time to go to the Capitol to advocate for public education. I know that it is a tireless effort to continue to advocate, and I just want to thank you for doing that. And I would also like to echo the call to action shared here earlier tonight to sign the petition to protect public education, specifically to provide some guardrails around funding for public schools. Excuse me. And then I want to echo my fellow board members' comments on the Care Fair. I was able to see McClintock Cheer Squad there hyping up the crowd, which probably is also why there were so many enrollments at McClintock specifically on Saturday. And then I attended earlier that morning, Marcos Denisa had a garage sale for fundraising for their clubs, which was hosted, I think it was, when I saw it was Mariachi Student Council and NHS, I believe, but there might have been some clubs I was missing. So I attended that, bought some things there, and then I was able to attend the percussion performance yesterday and experience the students' performance that is going to go to competition in Ohio in April, and it was really amazing. It was called Rattler, and it was arranged by, it's originally by Alanis Morissette, but arranged by Scott Warner, is that right?
Scott Warner wrote the notes. It was just an Alanis Morissette, so he added his name. Yeah. So,
yeah.
But like the song that we did, it was his composed. He wrote that entire song, Scott Warner, so he writes music.
It was really cool. And so I think they're going to win, to be honest. Like, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
It was really amazing.
Yeah.
And then
they-
went to Dayton, right? Dayton, Ohio? Is that what I thought? I thought it was
Somewhere
Dayton.
in
At first I
Ohio.
thought Daytona, but I'm pretty sure it was Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, so I
They
got
were
to see that
amazing.
yesterday. That was really great, and I'll echo a happy Easter to everyone who celebrates, and also a happy Passover to everybody who celebrates. And with that, I'll end my report.
Thank you, Member Gutierrez-Miller. Member Hodge, did you have something else?
Yes, I forgot to say that our Mayor Youth Advisory Commission, who is 92% Tempe Union students, did their first annual mental health conference that they put on all by the students by themselves. So I'm just excited. They had kids from as young as fourth grade all the way up to college at the conference. So they did that. They put it on all by themselves, and I'm just excited. I was a part of it and got to see my students in Tempe Union do so phenomenal. And also to let you know, Vice President, both President Armando and myself have been to Helios. We actually were on the planning committee of it from day one, and they actually used Tempe Union and Tempe L and Kyrene as the pilot. So we have been a part of it for almost 2.5 years. So we've seen that data go from where it's at right now to where it is from the beginning stages to right now. So I just wanted to let you know that most of Tempe Union has already seen that information and has been actually a part of inputting that data together. Along with Dr. Wilson, Dr. Electric, all of us have been a part of that for a while. So I just want to let you know this is a really good thing, that a highlight that Tempe Union they used us as the data point for it all, our city of Tempe. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Hodge. I don't have too much more to add. I do want to also say I did have the to also attend the Fresh Brunch, and I want to give a shout out. He was here earlier, Geo Tucker. He got up there and spoke in front of all those people because he shared, it was the robotics program at Corona, and talking about how they've created a safe space in the engineering community for LGBTQ students. So him and his team got up there and spoke about that, and that level of bravery to get up there in front of that many people, including the governor, the secretary of state, I mean, and to be able to share the work that they're doing at Corona was amazing. So I wanted to give, I know he's not here anymore, but a shout out for doing that. I also had the chance to attend a event for a mental health organization called Kid in the Corner, and we're gonna have a chance to meet with them later this week. And I want to thank them for all the work they're doing. It's a mom who lost her son to suicide who started this organization and really focuses on sitting down and giving programs to students around mental health education. And so I'm looking forward to meeting with them, but also listening to some of the work that they're doing and some of the struggles that they have working with other districts. I think highlights how leaps and bounds we are ahead in what we're doing here in Tempe Union. So it's always good to hear that as well. And that is all from me. Vice President Steele, did you have something else?
I did, because I just want to share, because now 1 in 10's been brought up twice. I have an individual that lives in my home that has frequented the 1 in 10 that is in near Corona. So just because we've brought it up, we do have 2 safe 1 in 10 locations that I know of for a fact within our district. One is on Ray and Rule, and the other one is over by 5th Street in Hardy. So they are a wonderful organization. Those are their satellite outlets, and you can find information online, but they are a safe place through the age of 24 for anybody. You do not have to recognize yourself as LGBTQ+, but it is a very safe and welcoming community, and I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Steele. And with that, Dr. Wilson, is there anything from you or the executive team? All right, then hearing none, I'll make a motion to go into executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Member Hodge. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We'll move into executive session in the conference room. right, I will make a motion to go out of executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Hodge. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And with that, our next regular board meeting is April 15th, 2026. I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member Hodge. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We are adjourned.